Hello, Ardrey Hill students. I am Mr. Webb, the Career Development Coordinator here at AK, and today I'm going to be talking to you regarding the dual enrollment updates for returning students. To get to the returning student section to learn the process, you'll just go to akvc3.com, you'll go to Special Programs, and you will click on CPCC Dual Enrollment Returning Students. It'll take you here. This video will be right here. But there are some new things that we need to talk about, and then a few reminders I just want to go over in this video. So let's get started. First off, we do have Miss Miller here to assist with CPCC. She is our dual enrollment coach. The way I would look at the roles is I'm more over processing, and she is more over the registration for classes. We both can help you guys out, so you can use either one of us. If you need to talk to her regarding an associate's, she can get right into the CPC side of things and see where you are at for that. She can help you register for classes. So there's all her contact information. If you ever want to set up an appointment with her, you can use her Calendly. If you have a question for me, you guys, my door is always open. You guys can walk in anytime and ask your question to me. All right, summer fall 2026 enrollment updates. All students will have to have a CPCC My Connect account. We're going to go over these directions in just a minute. But this is new. This is separate from my college. The way I would explain My Connect is this is the new way to upload your transcript every semester. And this is the way you'll do pathway changes now. Those two things will be done through your My Connect account. To register for classes, that will still be done through your My College account. So we'll talk about that in just a second. AP scores, I wanted to remind everyone that CPCC is only taking AP scores if you send them directly through College Board. So you would have to log into your College Board account and submit those scores that you want to go to CPCC directly that way. CPCC pathway changes, we'll talk more about these in just a little bit, but I want everyone to know that CPCC is only allowing one pathway change a semester. So I know in the past you guys kept trying to change pathways. They're not going to allow that anymore. So just make sure you know what pathways you want to take, because those determine what classes you can take. So make sure you guys are getting that right. All right, so My Connect. To set up your My Connect account, you'll click here, and then it will take you to a page that looks like this. You'll have a new student application, and you'll have a continuing students application. You guys are going to click the continuing students application. And then it'll bring you to a page. I'm already signed in, so it's not going to show you directly. So we'll go back to the website. You're going to click on the Continue Students button like I showed, and then I guess you can do change my pathway. All right, so when it asks you to sign in, again, this is good. This is a change they've made. Before you got to sign in or re-sign in every time. So it's keeping you signed in now, so that's good. All right, so you'll select what you want to do, change pathway or upload transcript. It'll ask you to sign into your account. This is crucial. This is what's very important. When you're asked to sign in the first time, use your personal email. that you use for your original application. Do not use your parent or school email or your CPCC email. And then once you put your personal email in there, don't enter a password, just click Forgot Password. They'll send you a reset password link, and then that's where you'll create the password you want. And then once you do that, you have your My Connect account, and then you could utilize the pathway change or the transcript upload. Okay, let's go through a few reminders for the program that you guys should know. Remember, you have to choose a pathway. Most of our students choose college transfer pathways, but you can also select a CT pathway. So you can do one college transfer pathway and one CT pathway, or you could do just one college transfer pathway and you don't have to select a second pathway, or you can choose two CT pathways. You just cannot choose two college transfer pathways. And then remember, you must have a 2.8 unweighted GPA to be eligible for the college transfer pathways and some of the CT pathways. Here are the college transfer pathways. You can click on any of these to see what classes are in these pathways. And then CT pathways are right here. Remember, most of the CT pathways are weighted as a standard level, but if you click on one of these, it will tell you in the transfer column if they are a transfer credit, which would be weighted as a 5.0 versus a 4.0. If there's a no or nothing in the box, then they're going to be weighted as standard. And then here are some of the pathways that do require the 2.8. If you do not have the 2.8 unweighted GPA, you can submit test scores. You can use ACT, pre-ACT, SAT, PSAT, and all those benchmark scores are right here. If you click on this, this will show you what the benchmark scores are that are needed to get into a college transfer pathway or one of the higher CT pathways. CPCC does have their own placement test. It's called the RISE placement test. You can schedule that test by clicking on this link here. Math 271 or higher, these are all the requirements for that. We run into an issue with AP Pre-Calc that you guys won't get your scores until July, after you take the test in May. So you can't submit those scores until July. So the earliest you could take Math 271 would be the fall, if that's what you're waiting on. If you want to get into Math 271 sooner, you can take the two CPCC pre-calc courses. It's Math 171 and 172. You can do those in 2 short sessions if you want, and then be eligible to take Math 271 the following semester. So just keep all that in mind. Graduation requirements. This was brought to our attention last March. You can do graduation requirements except for English at CPCC. So if you needed that 4th math, or as a lot of you know, the American history, which if you're going to be a senior, you should be done with that. So that's about the only ones that you can really take, though. We're starting to get more kids interested in foreign language. I would click this link here and then reach out to the department chair that you see attached to this link. You can schedule a placement test to see what level you should be placed in. Just know that our AK foreign language classes are not equivalent to theirs. So if you do Spanish 1, Spanish 2 here at AK, and you do Spanish 111, that's not necessarily Spanish 3. Colleges will look at that as that you took a 3rd year of Spanish. But just know it might go back to like a more basic level at CPCC. So that's why I encourage students to take a placement test to see which one they should be placed in. If you need AP equivalencies, here is that information. You can see what APs are equivalent to certain CPCC classes. Course weighting, if you are unsure of a course weight, you can click that code list and that will show you how each class is weighted. If you have a question about weighting, reach out to a counselor or myself and we can get you the correct answer. This link will take you to the North Carolina public schools, and it will show you how CPCC courses will transfer to certain institutions. And then a lot of you will reach out and ask, how do I send my CPCC transcript? Colleges are wanting that. So if you need to send a CPCC transcript, just click this link here and that'll take you through the process for that. All right, here are the updates for the application process for returning students. So summer and fall 2026 enrollment is open. Like I said, pathway changes after you update your password in your MyConnect account. You can go in, you can click here. This will take you to the MyConnect page. You can select pathway change. And I think I have here, this is what it looks like after you sign in and click on the application for change of pathway. You would click start new application for a change in pathway. Start. It doesn't take long. And then you'll click continue application here. And then you could choose the pathways you want. Just make sure you look at everything closely. The college transfer pathways will say college transfer before it. So arts and science are the two most popular. I encourage students to take the arts pathway because it gives you the most options for college classes to take. If you are trying to get a specific science pathway, then yeah, you can take that. A lot of people see the buzzword engineering pathway and be like, oh, that's the field I want to go into. But that pathway is probably the most limiting pathway. There's only one engineering course in the pathway, and it's only 2 credit hours, so it doesn't even figure into your GPA. So if you're trying to knock out college courses, like general education college courses, I strongly recommend just staying in the arts pathway. So I would select the arts pathway, and then if I was interested in a CT pathway, I'm going to choose business and then go to the next step. So this is where they may ask you for approval. You can add request to enrollment. And then this is where it'll ask what semester you want it changed for. So let's say I want to change my pathway for summer 2026. I would select that. And then this is where it might ask you to provide a contact. You can provide my information. Select RG Cal High School, and then it actually tells you I am the contact for this. So you can enter my name, first, last name, and then my email, and then it'll send me a button that I have to click to approve you. So that's about it for the pathway changes. You can see all the steps right there. Here are the CPCC start and end dates for spring. I'll put summer up soon. Just remember, summer classes will begin before you guys finish at AK. Summer classes will begin around May 20th. I'll put those dates up as we get closer to summer. All right, here are the steps for returning students. You guys will have to request a new high school transcript if you are wanting to sign up for classes for the fall 2026 semester. If you have already submitted for spring, I've been told that your spring transcript that you submitted will cover you for summer. So if you're only going through summer, so this would be for graduating seniors, you only have to, actually you don't have to do anything if you're gonna graduate in June. So this would be for my returning seniors. You guys will have to submit a transcript, and CPCC is not accepting transcripts until February 2nd, which makes sense. We want to get all the first semester information in there. So our plan is going to be to give you guys all a transcript in homeroom that first week in February, so you guys can upload your transcript. Here are the steps for uploading a transcript. Again, you'll click there. You'll click upload my transcript, and then it'll take you to a page here. It'll say high school transcript upload. I've started the process, but you guys can click start new application, high school transcript upload, start. Again, you're going to click this continue application. And then this is where I've been told you could do a screenshot if you wanted, or my recommendation would be to scan it in or save it as a PDF and then upload it that way. And then once you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions again, and then you can hit submit and your transcript will be sent. So we don't have to deal with CFNC anymore, which I'm very thankful for, because that caused a lot of issues for a lot of students. And then again, if you're asked to provide a contact or email, you'll use my information, and that can be found right there. And then for my rising seniors, you guys will complete the AK application again. You only have to complete this once a year, so it's not quite as long as it used to be, but this allows me to keep all the information I need if I need to contact you guys, if I need to see what pathway you're in. This allows me to see what you guys are submitting, and it goes over some rules that you guys just need to be clear on, and you need to check those boxes to make sure you guys understand that. So you guys can click that application there, and then you'll be set up for that. Those are really the only two steps you need to complete. If you need to log into your CPCC email, you guys should all have accounts, so that should be all done. But just remember, there's probably an authenticator that you need, so make sure you guys have all that squared away. Registration for classes, again, that's going to open March 30th. So right now we're just processing students. We're making sure you guys are all squared away with that. The sooner you complete those steps 1 and 2, the sooner you'll be able to register. So my goal is to have most of our students be able to start registering for classes for fall 2026 on that March 30th date. So if you need help, there's a registration video. It's not the best video because it applies to actual students, not really dual enrollment students, but you guys can see how the process for registering works. Again, you'll do that through your My College account. And then most of our students will take online classes. Just remember, if you're taking an online class, it should have an N in the course code. If you don't see an N in the course code, that means there's probably an in-person component. We have a few students that make that mistake, and then they'll be kicked out of their class, or they have to drop the class. So But then once you sign up for your online classes and you want to know how their online system works, you can click that online tutorial. They use Brightspace. So you'll get into Brightspace and you can start working on your coursework when your class begins. And just remember that you have to pretty much sign into your course at least once a week, or they will kick you out of the course and you'll receive a failing grade. So step 6, just make sure you pay any college fees. Tuition and student fees are covered during the spring and fall semesters, but during the summer semester, student fees need to be paid by the student. So just remember that. And if some classes have like a lab fee, you might be responsible for that as well. So just keep all that in mind. If you are going to be on campus at all, I strongly encourage you guys to pick up a student ID. You can click on that link there to see how to do that. If you're taking in-person classes and you need parking permit, here's parking information. And then they're kind of going away from books, but if you do need anything from the bookstore, here's the bookstore information. And then again, if you need to send your CPCC transcripts, I put that in there as well. All right, final few things. There is no rule on how many CPCC classes you take anymore. CPCC will max you out a certain amount. They won't let you take more. I think it's around 5 or 6 per semester. Here is my recommendation and guideline. I do not recommend students taking more than 10 total classes per school year between CPCC and CVPS and AK combined. So if you have early release at AK and you're only taking 2 classes per semester at AK, so that's 4 classes total, then yeah, take 3 classes per semester at CPCC and that puts you at 10. So you could still take plenty of CPCC courses without overdoing it. I've seen students take on too many and then they are like, oh, can I just drop this off my transcript? You cannot drop courses off your CMS transcript. Everything that you take will go on your CMS transcripts. So please keep that in mind. Here's just a little chart to show you guys how that could look if you wanted to take that 10. Course selection, we've talked about pathways. Attendance, make sure you guys are, again, attending classes at CPCC. You're logging into your online class at least once or twice a week. You're keeping up with your CPCC email. Instructors will send information out. Dual enrollment will send information out to your CPCC emails. You guys need to get in a habit because when you get into the workplace, that is how people communicate, is through email. Just know that CPCC's calendar does not line up with CMS's calendar. So CPCC may have class on days CMS doesn't. So just make sure you know when your classes are meeting. And CPCC classes usually start a week or 2 before CMS classes in the fall and spring semesters. Transportation, if you take in-person classes, it's your responsibility to get to those classes. We cannot guarantee parking at AK, so keep all that in mind. All right, here are the grading procedures and how things are entered. So I receive a report at the end of the semester, and all I get on my report are letter grades. So I only get A's, B's, C's, D's, F's, I's, W's, and WN's. If you get this grade on my report, this is the grade you are going to get on your CMS transcript. So CMS says for the letter grades, just use the mid-range grade. I know some of you might get 98s in the class. Just know I am instructed to enter everything as that mid-range. Counts the same as the GPA, so don't sweat it. And then I'm instructed if you get an incomplete on your class, you get a 55 until that it turns into a completed class. A W, that is if you drop after the 10% drop date, but before the 35% withdrawal date. So I always encourage kids to drop classes if they want to drop it and not go in their transcript within the first 2 days of the class starting. If you drop after that, you can get a W, and that will go in as a WF. A WF does not hurt your GPA, but it probably also doesn't look the best. So just keep that in mind. A WN means you never did the EVA or you never attended the class and you get a 0, and that does hurt your GPA. So just keep all that in mind. Also, if you get a grade you don't like at CPCC, the only time you can suppress a grade is if you fail the class. So you can only retake a class if you fail it. If you get a C or D, you cannot retake it, and that grade will not be replaced. So just keep that in mind. And then expenses we talked about, tuition and student fees are covered in the spring and fall, but student fees need to be covered in the summer. So most of you guys know this process, and you should have no problems with that. This video will be right here. I'm going to send out an email to make sure everyone watches it. Please watch this all the way through, and have a great day.